everybody. This is John Murphy, Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are, August the 1st, in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got some great information for you tonight. So let's go ahead and jump over here to my Rumble channel. This is it right here. This is my video we're going over tonight, my live stream, episode 1996. Let's go ahead and jump into that. And let me pause this. This is, okay, there we are. Let me close out the live chat. Nobody's joined us yet. I need the chats this month. Okay, let's slide down here and click the show more button to expand the description box out. And we have information from Benny Johnson, Black Conservative Perspective, Dale Bigtree, and J.D. Rucker Show. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give. All righty, we've got Rumble number 7 from JP Wolko Glow, shared to all my fat platforms. May be late tonight. Sun's stopping over after work. Well, tell him I said hi, okay? All right, so but we have some shout outs to give here from JameRex9930, just started following my channel. San Francisco KYD, just started following my channel. EJ Parvin, just started following my channel. NeverMarriedDating.com, okay, just started following my channel. Little Patriot just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Frosty18 reposted my daily news wrap-up. Debbie BS reposted my episode 1995. Imprint His, commented on Wendy Tells It Like It Is. That was a short I put out there. Debbie BS, Susan080, Big John Perez, and Viper Sr. commented on my episode 1995. All right. Debbie BS commented on my extra 778A, Cotton Ball 31, and Debbie BS commented on my extra 778B. It looks like Cotton Ball 31, Debbie BS, Rosebud SP, Roy Net, and Glow, GP Wilco 01, commented on my extra 778C. So thank you very much, folks, for reposting my videos, and thank you for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. All right, well, let's get into this, because I got some pretty good information here. DNC tricked into bankruptcy by scammer. May have to vacate 2028 headquarters as money dries up. Lost $29,000. That's a drop in the bucket for those scumbags. But let's go ahead and see what Benny has to say about this. All righty. I wonder why they seem like they're pretty upset that, somebody scammed them. But when somebody scams the American people, like USAID, that's okay. That's okay. Huh. Amazing, isn't it? Let's see what Benny has to say. If this will take off, we'll be in great shape. I would greatly appreciate it. I've clicked the play button, and it's just kind of sitting there.
I know blackpilling is really popular amongst Republican circles right now, but when CNN is crashing out on how bad the Democrat Party is, when the Democrat Party chairman is trying to sell their building because they're so broke, they're so in debt, they're so strapped for cash, when no one is donating to Democrat causes, I think that maybe we're being psyoped right now as to how bad things really are. Democrat Party net favorability, 2018 versus
the Democrat
today.
Party net favorability. Back in 2018, when Democrats were able to take control of the House, they were actually on the plus side of the ledger. They were actually in positive territory at +1 point. Look now in 2026. We're not just talking down there underneath the Potomac. We're talking down there with the Titanic. We're talking 24 points underwater. And this is just the party overall. This isn't the congressional leadership. This is the party. The party. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible brand.
Okay, I'm still confused. If anybody knows what these numbers represent, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so they're +1 here. +1 on what? Does that mean that's 51% approval? Or they're +1 from what they previously were? But then what was that? I mean, if they were at 32% and they got a +1 and put them at 33% approval, that's still nothing to jump up and down and shout about. I mean, if they're talking 50%, okay, 50% minus 24 points, that's what, 26 points, 26% favorable? I don't get it. Or if I don't understand. I just don't understand what these numbers represent. Yeah, but if they were at 100% approval and they got a minus 24, that puts them at 76% approval, which is pretty damn good. So what do these numbers represent? I'm just confused. +1 from what? And minus 24 from what?
Terrible brand. How bad is it?
Trump and the Republicans take the cake. They are trusted by 2 points on run. Now, one poll is one thing, but you put the two of them together and you can see that the American people, simply put, are not buying what Democrats are selling on Iran. They still trust Republicans more, even if you look at President Trump's approval ratings on the subject, and they're -2, but yet Republicans and Trump still more trusted than Democrats are in Iran.
Has there been any change over time?
No, and this is even more surprising, right? You might think, okay, as the war has gone on and on and on, you might think, hey, the Democrats would be gaining ground in terms of trust that the American people would give them on Iran. If anything, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Trust Democrats or Republicans more in Iran. In April, according to a Washington Post Ipsos poll, the Democrats were more trusted by 2 points. Again, close margin, no clear leader. But look where the shift has been. If anything, the shift has been in the Republican direction.
Would you look at this? New Cook Political Report, which is famous for being left-wing, actually. 2026 mid-decade redistricting has yielded a House map that's more Republican and less elastic. We're out here with our new scores. It shows that now Democrats need to win 77 seats in the R+5 to D+5 range. That's 74% of the win for a House majority. The incredible shrinking swing seat showing Democrats are not doing well as a party, and neither do their own financials show that. DNC loses nearly $29,000 to a scammer posing as Chairman Ken Martin. Okay. DNC lost $29,000 to a scammer email. The Democrat National Committee lost $29,000 to an email scammer posing as the newly installed chairman, Ken Martin, according to a report. The committee scammed out of new money in February 2025, according to a report based on an interview with party officials previously unreported. They lost $29,000. An unknown party sent a fraudulent email to the DNC staffer pretending to be Ken Martin, who had to take over as chairman days after February 1st. The staffer made a payment. The staffer was no longer with the committee. The DNC officials said the error was caught within minutes, and the committee's bank, Wells Fargo, the committee was only able to recover $7,000 and alerted law enforcement. The DNC had acknowledged the loss, the FEC, describing it as a misdisbursement of committee funds. This is amazing. So it's exactly like what the Hillary Clinton emails suggest, that the entire party is just a vehicle for fraud. DNC paid big bucks to email scammer posing as Ken Martin. So it's that easy, huh? Oh, were they Somali? DNC lost $29,000. Okay. Now, this would be an opportune moment to suggest DNC consider voter ID. That's right. Excuse me. But when the DNC chair and the Crown Prince of Nigeria email you directly asking for help, don't help. The jokes write themselves, dude. We should totally let these people run the country again. DNC doesn't pretend to be good with money. They just look at you like this. Veep is a documentary. Democrat voters lost $1.5 billion to a scammer named Kamala Harris. Ooh. DNC puts its headquarters up for collateral to maintain and obtain massive loan, and to raised concern among members. Further evidence of financial strain of the committee. Democrat National Committee put its physical headquarters up for collateral last year in order to obtain a $15 million line of credit to help invest in off-year elections, according to DNC records. The building, located right next to the U.S. Capitol, so a pricey piece of real estate, has been used as collateral in the past. The DNC did not exactly explicitly declare the building as its collateral in its monthly loan-related filings with the Federal Election Commission. Ken gaslighting us about the chairman's DNC finances and not being transparent about the financial situation makes us doubt if we can ever oversee a DNC during the most important primary of our lifetimes, says DNC committee members who are pretty embarrassed by the Democrats having to put their own building up for assets. You wonder why our country is $40 trillion in debt. So these people have been running it. DNC headquarters put up as collateral, then scammed by a Nigerian prince. The DNC lost 29 grand to a scam email impersonating Ken Martin, put up its own headquarters. One of the funniest political stories I've read in a long time. No coincidence that DNC went completely broke after USAID was shut down. The entire thing was a money laundering scam to keep Democrats afloat. That's exactly right. DNC boss Ken Martin threw phone at aide's desk as committee forced to put headquarters up for collateral. Okay. Bedridden James Carville says the only way the Democrat Party is to make David Hogg chairman. Hogg was fired last year. Okay. I'm begging you. Please do it. Democrat cash on hand, 14 million, but there's 17 million in debt. So it's actually negative 3 million, right? Republican cash on hand, $124 million. RNC versus NC. Oh, approval rating, negative 52. Quinnipiac. This is from May. Oh, boy. Okay. Democrat Party approval rating among men, negative 62. Okay. 16%. The best thing the GOP has going for it in November, miserable opponents. This is a convoluted way to say that 16% of men are gay. If you are a dude and vote for a Democrat, you must forfeit your man card immediately. These are the rules. Good morning. Every poll run by conservative orgs like Rasmussen has Trump polling negatives, job approval, high bar for regular presidential approval. So they're saying here is that Trump does have negative approval, but it has nothing to be concerned about from a historic perspective. He is not more unpopular than a president at this time. I'm not laughing, I swear. You mean threatening to crush America's souls isn't popular. Democrats dumped money into Texas, more money than they're spending in North Carolina, Maine, Michigan, or Georgia. So their obsession with winning back Texas, with trying to get the Senate seat in Texas is going to be their undoing. It's going to be amazing. They're trying to make James Tallarico fetch happen. It's been a nightmare, and the nightmare continues. Kamala Harris coming back. Get ready. It's happening at the Kamala AOC ticket. I'm calling it right now. Kamala AOC ticket, ladies and gentlemen.
All righty.
What do you think? What do you think? Excited? Just here with your historic white pill. It's my job around here. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.
All right, there you have it, folks. And you may have heard him talk about how the Democrats are saying this is the most important election of their lifetime. And seems like we've been hearing that every 2 years. This is the most important election. This is the most important election. I'm sure it's the most important election for the Democrats because their whole game is being disrupted, okay? Trump and his administration is shutting down the fraud and grift that they've been stealing from us, taxpayers, for decades, actually. Okay? And they're trying to shut down the cheating in the elections, the fraud in the elections. Well, the Democrats can't live with and exist without fraud and theft. So, yeah, you're hearing that from them, and you're hearing it from us too, from the conservative side, the Republican side, saying this is the most important, because we can't let those bastards get back in control. Okay? You know, Trump's trying to move things forward here, but if the Democrats get control of the Congress, even just the House, everything stops. I mean, if they get control of the House, they'll be going after impeachment after freaking impeachment after as many impeachments as they can possibly get in the next 2 years, just to disrupt what's going on. Okay? So let me click on this Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Benny Johnson. Right here's the video that I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. Hi, Glow. How you doing? Did you tell your son I said hi? I hope so. But let's go ahead and slide down here and see what Black Conservative Perspective has to say. Communist Democrat implodes during Fox interview after confronted with her words as backlash grows. Okay, well, let's see what that's all about. And again, Rumble must be lagging here just a little bit.
Wisconsin Democratic primary going on. We got Hong, who is running, who is now, in my opinion, the clear favorite to win that Democratic nomination. She's a Democratic socialist. Her chances up like a rocket. On June 30th, it was just 41%. Now a 96% chance to be the Democratic nominee in Wisconsin, a Democratic socialist, according to the cash prediction markets. So this is not just happening now in New York, Philadelphia, Denver. It looks to me like it's going to be happening in a place like Wisconsin, which of course is a very purple state.
I just want to be clear. Does this mean that you no longer believe in the goal of defunding and ultimately abolishing the police that you posted about 5 years ago?
I believe that safety is a human right, that I'm going to be a governor that is more serious about public safety than any other governor. And I'm willing to work with community organizers, faith leaders, local governments where many of our public safety systems are funded. And
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So you got to talk about the backlash that is growing against the communist takeover of the Democrat Party. Okay, you have people who are saying that if Democrats are going to be socialist / communist, if that's what the party's going to be, if this is what they're going to give into, then I got to vote Republican, right? Ultimately, I can't support a socialist / communist party. People with common sense are saying that.
Hello?
Tim in Georgia, which party do you plan to vote for in November?
Well, I'm a little bit confused on that right now because the Democrats have lost their mind. This is insanity what is going on. You're sitting here and telling me that the United States of America is going to have a socialist party that is going to be running the country? What military? I did 11 years, and as a disabled veteran, I would never join the military and fight for a socialist republic. This is insanity. So now I'm thinking I have to vote Republican to stop this from going on.
Yeah, that's true. You have to vote Republican, right? That's what it comes down to. It's socialism / communism versus voting Republican. And I'm not saying the Republicans are perfect, right? For me personally, I think the Republicans are far from perfect. But if it's between even a rhino Republican, right? Even if it was between a rhino Republican and a socialist or a communist, I'm going with the rhino all day long, right?
Okay, and as Dan Bongino says, Republicans are not the answer to all our problems. But the Democrats are definitely the cause of all our problems. Yeah, there's enough rhinos out there to slow things down. But yeah, it's, I've held my nose and voted for Republicans numerous times. Okay, but the alternative would have been, I was no fan of Bush, but the alternative to Bush, Bush Jr., was definitely not what we wanted.
It is what it is. Okay, we cannot have a socialist Democrat party, and I hate the fact that they have folded to the far left extremists. But this is what happens when you're thirsty for power and control, right? But the reality is that thirst for power is actually what's going to lead to the Democrats, the establishment Democrats, losing power as they're being primary left and right. And we got to talk about another major upset that's about to happen in Wisconsin. featuring Francesca Hong, okay, who is a socialist Democrat, communist, running for governor in Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin is a swing state. Okay, I mean, it has generally kind of leaned blue, right, as of late, but it can go red, right? It can go to the right. It can swing Republican. And this is a big deal because this woman is openly a Democratic socialist. And as of the making of this video, she is running away with the Democrat primary in Wisconsin.
It is all in the new Marquette poll and a widening lead for Francesca Hong, the Democratic socialist in this Democratic primary. Let's bring in Charles Franklin, the director of the Marquette Law School poll. You are a busy man, 2 weeks, 2 polls. What is the revelation in this brand new poll out today?
I think the big headline is that Hong has expanded her lead from where it was a week ago to 38% now from 26% last week. And if you put in the people who lean to a candidate, that goes up to 46%. She's up across the board in every demographic.
So as we look at this, yes, there are 34% undecided, but this is a 22-point lead now between the number 1 candidate and the number 2 candidate. The other 3, David Crowley, Joel Brennan, Kelder Royce, all in single digits. We're less than 2 weeks out. Can any of these candidates catch up to, or at least what we're seeing from this snapshot?
What I think is lacking on the folks that aren't for Hong is that they've not consolidated around anyone. Mandela Barnes is consistently in second place, but fairly distant second, and Crowley in third place, again, a good ways behind Barnes. So if there was a chance for the other candidates to sort of get a new competitor, I haven't seen that happening in these data. We just don't see anybody making a big move up except for Francesca Hong.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, although this woman is essentially destroying the competition in the Democrat primary, like I've said, what really matters is the general election, which, you know, if you have these far left socialists running in general elections in swing states like Wisconsin and Michigan and, you know, Maine as well, too, they're going to have some problems because they're way too far left for the general public. So now you have a few of the socialists who are doing pivots going into the general election, right? The ones that look like they're about to win the Democrat primary. It's so funny because they're card-carrying members of the Democrat socialists, right? They are Democrat socialists. But now all of a sudden, they're trying to walk back their radical positions because, again, they know they have to win a general election in purple swing states. Like, for example, El Said out in Michigan, he is walking away. He's running away from the socialist label, even though he's endorsed by the socialists. He's in bed with the socialists. The socialists have campaigned on his behalf. He's walking away from that label. And you have Francesca Hong, who has advocated to defund the police, who is a card-carrying socialist as well, too. She's now trying to walk away from her position.
You're very close to Bernie Sanders. You've had a number of these very popular officials come out and campaign for you. You've also said that you're not a democratic socialist. You describe yourself as a capitalist who understands capitalism. I believe that's what you said last night in debate. But what is the difference? What are they getting wrong? I think this is confusing to a lot of people. What are they getting wrong about capitalism, or why don't you consider yourself a member of the democratic socialist movement, given your proximity and your relationship to all of these officials?
Because I'm simply not a socialist. I believe in science. You know, for me, it's you got to bring results. I've studied a lot of the solutions that I fight for, things like Medicare for all.
You once tweeted about defunding the police, and tonight you were asked whether you would sign that bill to defund the police, and you said no.
If anyone's been defunding the police, it's been Robin Voss and the Republicans who have not been adequately funding shared revenue. And you have seen that local governments have had to make very difficult decisions. And I believe that as governor, that we want to make sure that we're prioritizing public safety. And I believe that, you know, those types of bills that could include more investment in the things that we know prevent crime. If you want to be tough on crime, you better be tough on the causes.
Why do you believe that the police must?
Well, that sounds pretty good, but I wonder what changed her mind. You know, I wonder if her mind hasn't changed, but she's just saying that because she knows it's probably not popular when it comes down to the general election with people to defund the police. Okay? So it's amazing how they say things, but then, you know, when it comes down to brass tacks, and they're running for office, Well, their story seems to change a little bit. I wonder how honest that remark was about, oh, funding the police. Yeah, rather than defunding the police.
Because the reality of this moment and in the types of public safety systems that we have, I want us to be sensible and realistic, but we know now that the billions invested in the criminal legal system is not working. We are spending on incarcerating an individual more than tuition for UW-Madison. That, this is about making sure that local law enforcement is working with community, that we are taking resources from the state and investing in things like public education, victim services, out of school programs for our kids to go and have a great, be able to be themselves. These are things that data and facts have shown that prevent crime. Again, if you want to be tough on crime, you better be tough on causes.
Do you still?
Oh, okay. So she doesn't think it's good to have prisons. Okay, so she's not. They spend way too much on prisons. Well, one of those is maybe because they're not tough enough on crime, and if people can think they can get away with something, they're going to do it. Just like Democrats cheating in elections and shit.
Long term, want to abolish police, but ultimately,
I believe that we have to be serious about public safety, and I'm going to be a governor that is more serious than anyone else in making sure that we are building systems of care, that we are focusing on lowering crime, getting guns off of our street.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that, right? The communists and the socialists are walking back. They're running away from their radical positions, right? El Said, I'm not a socialist. No, you're a socialist, right? You're associated with Bernie Sanders, Hassan Piker, AOC. All of the socialists are endorsing you, my guy, right? If you weren't a socialist, they would not be on your team, right? But clearly, you're on Team Socialist. You are a socialist, right? I'm not a socialist. I just support socialist healthcare, right? Come on. These people think that you're stupid. They think that you're dumb. Francesca Hong here, okay, she was confronted on wanting to abolish police, defund the police, which is what she said, right? She wants to abolish ICE as well, too. No law and order, because honestly, these people are concerned about the third world more than they're concerned about America. So again, what you have here is an individual trying to walk it back, right? Going into the general election, she's trying to say, well, see, I didn't really say that, or I don't really mean that. But then when they go on to explain what they actually meant or what they believe, is word salad, like what you just heard. Right? Word salad. So, without further ado, let's get into Francesca Hong going to Fox News, right? Where her nonsense trying to walk back her radical positions. And let's just say it ain't going to work well.
Even yesterday, it looks like you will be the nominee, as another one of your closest competitors who was even far behind you has dropped out of the race. Is there anything in that list of what you told Hassan Piker that you disavow now?
No.
Okay. Is there anything in the DSA platform that you disagree with?
Yes.
Okay, what would that be?
Abolishing the Senate. I believe it's nonsensical and non-practical at this time.
Okay, would you abolish the Supreme Court?
No. I believe in checks and balances.
Okay. So you consider yourself a democratic socialist, is that correct?
Yes.
Would you defund the Department of War?
Define it?
Well, I think it's take away the money from the Defense Department?
No, I think it's troubling how many times they've failed an audit, and they're one of the highest funded agency. And I think that stewardship of taxpayer dollars is incredibly important, that where there may be fraud, waste, or abuse, that we make sure to vet the agency.
Okay.
It's funny how they say that, but when Doge was trying to do that, these people were losing their minds, right? Which tells you that they actually really don't believe in that. But again, pay attention to how she's trying to walk back a lot of these positions. This interview sounds scripted, right? This woman, we need to check her background, right? Something ain't right about her, okay? Something real funny about this woman.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. There's about halfway through this, and I will include this in my daily news wrap-up, but I want to move on from here. Let me go ahead and click the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Black Conservative Perspective. Okay, this is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty, let's come back here to our description box. All right. Let's see. Anybody else want to join me in Glow? Dale Bigtree. Birx points the finger at Fauci, denies lockdown blame. She denies the lockdown blame. I believe she was on that bandwagon, but then again, let's get what she has to say about this. Oh yeah, she was pushing him, backing him 100%. It seemed like she definitely was pushing what Fauci was saying a lot more than what Donald Trump was saying when he said, well, we should try hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. Amazing how they changed their minds.
In the last 24 hours, we saw an interesting phenomenon. So as the world waits for next week for a Senate vote for Fauci to be held in contempt of Congress for not answering questions, very, very pertinent questions he was brought in front of that committee for, you're starting to see, I don't know what the word would be, but a lot of the key people within this architecture of the failed pandemic response come out and start to do a media tour. I don't know if they think they're going to be next on that hearing stand. Number one, Deborah Birx, Dr. Deborah Birx. Take a look at her. She received a hero's welcome on News Nation.
All right.
When President Trump said to me, we will never close down America again, as what happened, in which I couldn't understand how that happened so rapidly. We put out guidelines to slow the spread, and the next thing we know, everything is closed down. Now I know that Dr. Fauci was having private conversations with these governors and mayors to tell them to close the schools and to tell them, while we were trying to figure out how to contain the virus without doing all of that. A long way of saying, you have to follow what your commander in chief is saying to you. That doesn't mean that you change the science. It doesn't mean you change the data, but you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've got to jump in here. Now, I know everyone is different, okay? Some people, their immune system isn't as good as others. But I heard early on that generally people that are catching COVID have a vitamin D deficiency. So I went out and got vitamin D for the entire family. None of us, there's 7 in our family, none of us got COVID. None of us. Okay? And I wasn't, shy. I went out whenever I needed to go out to the grocery or whenever I needed to go out and do something, I did it. And I didn't wear a mask. And I didn't wear gloves, okay? I see the people wearing these gloves and masks. I was at a stoplight and some guy pulled up to me to turn left over on the driver's side. And I looked over there and he had his mask pulled down. He had gloves on and was reaching in to a box of McDonald's French fries and eating them out of the box with these gloves on. So whatever he was protecting his hands from with these gloves, he was putting all over the French fries and sticking them in his mouth. So, that's how stupid people were. When I walked into the grocery store, I had my mask on, but as soon as I walked through that door and past the greeter, I pulled it down, and breathed all that air that all those people were in the grocery store, and I never caught COVID. Okay? So maybe that wasn't nearly as threatening as they said it was, particularly with those shitty PCR tests that they had that came back positive if you had flu within the last 18 months is what I heard. So I don't know. But I was tested for COVID a couple of times. My wife was tested for COVID numerous times because she had some health issues. None of my kids ever caught COVID. So there you have it.
Figure out a way to execute the plan that they want. So when President Trump on, I think, April 4th said, we'll never do this again to the country, we pivoted to How do we bring testing so that people are aware of their status? No one wants to infect anybody else. But if you get them tests, instead of quarantining people who are exposed, you just only tell the people who are infected to stay home. That is a very different approach. It worked fabulously in universities. It's why we were able to keep them open, and Secretary DeVos was working on keeping K through 12 open. There were solutions, but it became very political, and we all have to be aware, because it was a presidential election year, it was really important for blue states to show that they were taking it very seriously, and they overclosed. And we just have to be honest that that happened. And that's why that discussion from both sides of the aisle and a resolution and a way to go forward is critical so that we can do this right in the future.
Whoa. It feels like a scene from The Godfather or something, right? Like one of the mobsters is on the stand and the other one starts singing to the press. Oh, yeah, it was all him. It was all him. It's all his idea. Let's not forget, by the way, that Deborah Birx, we've talked about this, like exchanged the epaulets that really were, I think, who she was working for in the Department of Defense. That is who was holding that position, but they changed to a different set of style choices, this scarf to make us forget that it was really, I think, a military operation. And when you read Scott Atlas's book and many people around it, they said she was the one that was all about lockdowns, not Fauci was into the vaccine. It's wild.
Yeah. And she's saying, I don't know how this happened, these lockdowns. This is the one time I will stand up for Fauci. Fauci was not the architect of the lockdowns and the policy. Fauci, according to his diary, appeared over 1,700 times in the first 2 years of the pandemic. He was the media bullhorn, and he was the one that was supposedly going out into the public to cover up the Wuhan lab, the funding, the vaccine injuries, all of that. He was the mouthpiece for that, the front man. Deborah Birx was, I guess, the bag lady. She was one doing the dirty business in the government. So just to backtrack this, so you know, it wasn't, we overclosed a little bit. That's called the lockdown, and it hurt a lot of people. But here's the headline here. She was named White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator. That is the top policy person in the United States running the entire COVID response, from policy to vaccine mandates to closures. And you can see here in this next headline, pretty soon after she got in there, she starts contradicting. Top Trump advisor bluntly contradicts president on COVID-19 threat, urging all-out response. She put the pedal to the metal. This was her and the people that she surrounded her with, National Security Council, everybody. And so she's in there in February of 2020. By March, this is Deborah Birx. Take a listen.
All of the flu models predicted anywhere between 1.6 and 2.2 million fatalities if we didn't mitigate. I think you all knew those numbers. Some of them predicted half of the United States would get infected and have that level of mortality. So we've worked very hard together to really look at all of the impacts of the different mitigations that have been utilized around the world and use that evidence base to really bring that data and that evidence to the president to consider for extending, which is not a simple situation when you ask people to stay home for another 30 days. And so they have to know that we've really built this on scientific evidence.
She's the one saying 15 days to slow the spread.
Video cameras rolling. Yeah. I don't know who extended it.
So it was 15 days to slow the spread until she got involved. Then it was 30 days, and then it's 4 years. This is Deborah Birx, and you can see that she's going on this media tour because she's probably trying to get ahead of a subpoena.
It's really fascinating, Jeffrey. And you know, I guess in some ways, if there's a fear that that he somehow got around it, seeing that reaction from her shows there is some concern now over this. And again, you know, why would the Democratic Party align with a guy that got so much wrong at the very least? But they now know that there's this document released. If they didn't, and Rand Paul says they've had access to this website and then not a single Democrat has signed on. Well, bet on you, man. If I'm going to go and stand up for someone I thought was my friend but is being accused of a crime, and someone says, here's the evidence we have on them, I think I'd read that evidence. I think I would read that evidence before I go on the stand and put my credibility and my entire existence and understanding of what we believe in, before I put that on trial. let me make sure I know everything about this case. And now we know this guy was admitting he knew he was wrong, or essentially was lying the whole time. This is an incredible moment, Jeffrey. And honestly, so much of this, I wonder if this is even happening if we weren't on this as early as we were. And the very few news people, especially like podcasters maybe, but we were there all alone when this started, bringing the truth. And now, as you said, it is a conversation in a grocery store between a clerk and a retiree going, what is going on? That is the question of the day, of the week, of the year, maybe of this generation.
All right, there you have it, folks. And yeah, they're all running for cover. I don't know if she's going to be called in and questioned in the Senate or the House, but it wouldn't surprise me if she didn't take the fifth as well. Let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from the HighWire with Dale Bigtree. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty then, let's jump back over here. J.D. Rucker show. Now, J.D. Rucker filled in for Wendy. She was on vacation for a week, and J.D. filled in for her. He did a pretty good job. I mean, he's not as enthusiastic as Wendy was, but he definitely had some good information. And I'm sharing his show on Murtech.com, and I want to share the information from his show. This was actually for his Friday show, but let's go ahead and take a listen to this and see what he has to say. All righty.
I actually do believe it. I am a firm believer that we are in the right time. If you're listening to me right now, if you're watching the show, listening to the podcast, live or not, doesn't matter. You're doing it for a reason. You're here for a reason. God does not make mistakes, and he did not make a mistake by putting you and me and everybody else here in America. Now, some of us are going to be fighting perhaps the wrong fight, fighting against the wrong people, fighting against us, for example. But there will be others, Lord willing, a lot of others, a growing number of others who will wake up and come to realize that America is under attack. Not in the same way that they're under attack in the little Spanish town, though that is possibly coming as well. Not in the same way that Israel or any of those places. Saudi Arabia is getting attacked. A lot of our allies in the Middle East are getting attacked. We're not there yet, but that too may not be very far off. We have to wake up. We have to realize, as a nation, as patriots of the nation, that it's our responsibility. We can't just hope that Donald Trump's going to fix everything. We can't just hope that the GOP is ever going to wake up and do anything at all, because they won't. We have to realize that we are the people of this nation. God gave us this amazing privilege, this blessing of being here in the greatest nation on earth at this particular time when we are most needed. I'm not trying to give you a Friday pep talk. I just want to set the stage for today's show, because it's easy to say, oh, it's just the Democrats. We just gotta fix, get rid of the Democrats. We gotta beat the Democrats. That's a common theme. But for the first time, at least in my lifetime, and maybe there were others in past lifetimes who have had different experiences, but for the first time in my lifetime, it's not an option. It's not a, man, I hope we win, or we got to try our hardest. We really got to win. It'd be a disaster if Obama won. It would be a disaster if Biden won. It would be a disaster if Nancy Pelosi is given the gavel again, or if Chuck Schumer is given the gavel. Well, it's not a gavel, but you get the idea. No, in those past times, it was something that we wanted to do. We wanted things to be better, but it wasn't existential. And when I say that the Democrats must be stopped, it's because now, more than ever, again, for the first time in my lifetime, I look at this and I realize, holy cow, this is existential. This is it. This is the last hurrah, the final charge of Wyatt Earp and his immortals. Because if we don't win, if we allow them to win, and I'm not just talking about elections, to be clear, if we allow them to have their way, if we allow them to continue to rise, and they are rising, then we're not going to, it's not just even a matter of we're not going to have a country anymore. We're going to collapse. We're going to die. And I don't want that to happen. So today's show, the title may sound generic. Democrats must be stopped for real this time. Except it's not generic. It's a declaration. It's a declaration I think we all must make. In many ways, it's a declaration of war. Let's get started. Very early morning. And it was one that I have to admit, I'm not one of those guys that says, "Oh my gosh, I had a dream, I had this vision of Charlie Kirk, or I had, I was visited by Jesus in my dream," or no, it wasn't like that. It was more of a sort of a, I guess, almost like a thought experiment of what happens. Why does this feel different? I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand why things felt different this time. Yeah, I've always for years, well, I guess for decades now, it's been a while, I've never been Mr. Midterm. I'm your standard, old Republican. It's like, okay, well, I hope we win the midterms, but I'm not going to get too into it. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, whatever. And then people would go out there, and every 4 years, I should say, in between presidential elections, you'd always hear the pundits out there, "This is the most important midterm of our lifetimes. This midterm might be the first one that's more important than the presidential election. This is the midterm. This is the one. This is the..." And it's always just like, okay, here we go again. The hyperbole, the hype. I hate it. I hate it. And I've never, ever said anything to the effect of, "This is the biggest midterm of all time." But I started thinking about the Democrat Party. It's what's different. When I say things are different, you can say, "Oh, well, the Republican Party is different too," but is it really? I mean, is it really different? Has the Republican Party changed that much? There have been some shifts in like, I guess, certain things, especially as it pertains to Israel. Okay. But for the most part, you look at the people that are coming, that are controlling the party. It's still the uniparty swamp rhinos versus the populist MAGA people. There's that little third wing now. We got the Tuckers of the world and his people that they don't quite fall under. They're not rhinos, and they think they're MAGA or new MAGA or whatever they want to call themselves, but they're not really that either, because I've noticed that they are willing to look at and even not just entertain the idea of, but start to embrace Democrats. I've seen that a lot more lately. People that just 2 or 3 months ago, they were like, "Oh, I'd never vote for a Democrat." It's like, yeah, man, the Democrats, they might be the only ones that could save us. It's like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? This is an actual conversation I had. He's like, and he sent me a link, and it was a link from a Twitchy article that showed people, or not people, it showed how, who was it? Hassan Piker was saying that he was guaranteeing that in 2028, whoever the Democrat nominee is, they will definitely be anti-Israel. And that was enough to entice this long time, like, staunch conservative, but who happens to be under the spell of both Candace as well as Tucker, listens to Fuentes and well, sometimes listens to Stu Peters, worships Alex Jones. Okay. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but this is so important. We cannot have another one, another Trump. This is a guy who helped get Trump elected, worked hard. But again, I don't want to talk about them today because it's still at this point. I still think, and I pray maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm not, but that's still a very small part. It really is. You got the Rhino Uniparty swamp versus the MAGA Republicans, MAGA conservatives, we'll say, MAGA populists, if you will. And that's how it's been though for for 10 years. That's what we've had to deal with for 10 years. The Republican Party has shifted but hasn't changed. The Democrat Party today versus 10 years ago versus 5 years ago versus last year is gone. Okay. We're talking about like a switch turned in their heads. And now all of a sudden, the people that we were not scared of, but we were concerned about this time last year. Oh, Hakeem Jeffries, he's Timu Obama, but he's probably going to be the next Speaker of the House. That's probably not going to happen, even if the Democrats win at this point. Oh, Chuck Schumer, he's finally going to get his time to do this and to set his mark, and he's so dangerous. And I was like, man, Chuck Schumer is almost one of the normal ones. One of the he seems like a regular average guy compared to the radicals. And this is a guy that like puts cheese on the raw side of a burger on a that's not turned on for a photo op. And that's, again, when I realized it, we do have to stop the Democrats. This isn't about winning an election. This is about preserving the future of the United States of America. We are toast. We are absolutely, positively toast as a country if they get momentum starting with this election, because this will be the setup for the presidential election. And if the Democrats can win this election, and by win, I'm saying take control of the House or the Senate or enough governorships to where they can be true thorns in the side of President Trump and derail his final 2 years in office. If they're able to do that, then I don't want to be like, oh, we're doomed, but it would feel as if we would be entering a point of no return. I'm not going to stop fighting. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, if they win, I'm moving to, where do we move to? I mean, this is the last bastion of freedom in the world. Maybe Japan. Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. I don't know where else to go. I don't want to go anywhere else. I wouldn't leave even if there was another place to go. Let me be clear. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, I'm stuck here, so I might as well make the best of it. No, if there was a awesome utopia that's, all expense paid, come live here and abandon America, I still wouldn't go. I don't want to make it sound like I'm wanting to save America because it's the only option left. I'm saying that for anybody else, anyone who might be thinking, well, this might be it, but we got to figure something out, but there's nothing else to figure out. For those people, there is nothing else to figure out. You're right. Apologies for not going through and saying hi to everybody. I'm going to buzz through it real quick. Not going to read them just because packed show today. Sherry, James Schreppel, Pops, Wendy Bill Radio. No, that's the raid. Sorry. I'm looking at a different screen. It's a different screen today, which is why I screwed up and had a whole wrong deal before. I went to the wrong email or the wrong whatever. It got.
Okay, I'm going to move it forward here just a little bit.
Hypers, there's a lot, or at least important midterm effort. Eric the Gray are different. We're just not ready for it. It'd be different if the Save America Act had been passed. And then it's like, okay, well, at least we have some safeguards, some sanity in elections. But at this point, I don't want to be super naysayer, but what? I mean, he's not going to let it happen. John Thune is not going to let it happen. John Thune is going to try to destroy the United States of America. He's in the process of doing it now. I don't know why. I know he's a uniparty swampster. I know he's controlled by the bad guys, but
yeah, why?
Yes, I am upset. I am pissed.
Me too.
And I'm not scared, but I am very concerned. At least if Lord willing, Republicans can retain control. then we got another shot at the Save America Act after the midterms. That's only if we have full control of the House. The House is not the problem. There are problems in other ways, but not one Save America Act. But we need to have full control of the Senate. And instead of people, oh, well, what seats are we going to lose? We have to pick up a couple. Okay? We got to pick up a couple. I don't know what's going to happen in Maine. I don't know what's going to happen in Georgia. I don't know what's going to happen. Well, Georgia we would be picking up a seat. I don't know what's going to happen in Texas, but Maine and Texas, there are multiple states we could lose, but we need to win all those and try to pick up Georgia or someplace else, and then go after Thune and get this damn Save America Act passed, and then I'll be able to breathe normally again and not get hyperbolic over this stuff. Not that will solve our problems. I don't take that the wrong way, but it'll at least make it to where, there's no panic. I'm panicking as much as I panic. I'm not a panicker. My pulse almost never races, almost never, unless I'm exercising. But as far as like weird stuff, I got into a car wreck one time, and I remember I made this weird sound. Like I'm going through the intersection, and then everything's hunky dory, green light. I look over, and there's like this big, huge, like grill of a Frontier pickup truck bearing down on my car, and it's like right outside my window. I made a weird sound, like whoa, as I'm spinning around, a bunch of times. Get out of the car. Happens to be a nurse by. Nurse comes over. She comes check on me. She's like, she starts feeling my. It's like, your pulse this is really weird. I think you might be going into shock. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, your pulse isn't even elevated. I'm like, well, I'm fine. I didn't get hurt. So yeah, but you spun like 15 times. I watched it. It's like, yeah, it's fun. I even told her, I was like, yeah, I was spinning and I made the sound, whoa! And she's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, I don't know. And I was go check on the other guy. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that I have deep concerns that if we don't get the Save America Act passed before the Democrats get back into office, because they will, I don't want to make it sound like the next time Democrats get back into office, we're toast. There's certain things we can get done. We can get them done now. But we can't as long as John Thune is Senate Majority Leader, as long as he is compromised.
All right. I cannot disagree with what he's saying there, folks. And this is like a 2-hour video that he has here. I'm almost 20 minutes into it. This will be in my daily news wrap-up. He's got a lot of great stuff. But let me right now go ahead and click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from the J.D. Rucker show. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here. And, let's see. We got, looks like we got 30 people watching. It would be nice if somebody else besides Susie Pohl and Glow, GP Wilco 01, gave me a chat. Somebody would just jump in the chat there and let me know you're here, or let me know if there's a particular podcaster you like that we can add to the program. That would be great. Let me go ahead and copy what's in the chat and put it in a comment here so it will be a permanent part of the video, because as we know, when the live stream is over, the chats just kind of disappear into cyberspace. But these videos that I share with you here are videos that come directly from the producers. I've got the links to the videos here in the description box, as well as links to the producer's channel. And these videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted on Murtech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos, the kind of information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. Now, I'd like to share all of this information with you, but unfortunately I just don't have the time to do so. And that's why I've put together my Murtech Daily News Wrap-Up. Here's my playlist here. I have says I have 14 videos in here. We're going to start off with Black Conservative Perspective, finish up that video, about 12 minutes of that, 10 or 12 minutes of that, then jump into J.D. Rucker and go on to LFA TV, live broadcasting news. This was also from yesterday, but they've got a ton of great information in there, folks. I have probably about 10 or 11 hours worth of information here. No nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. And I don't know, Glow, maybe you can share this with your sister in, what was it, Wisconsin? Did you say that where, who knows? Who knows? Maybe you can convince her to not vote for that Democrat socialist. But at any rate, go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes so I can get this set up in Rumble Studio, and we'll get started with this and take off with some good information. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.